Did I overpay on my dream guitar? This is a 1970 D-41 from Martin. This guitar, I can almost guarantee belonged to my old friend Sam. I've had this guitar for a few weeks, and now it is right to, with clear eyes in the cold light of day, really look at this guitar for what it is and ask myself, did I overpay on my dream guitar? I've had this guitar for a few weeks, and there are a couple things I've noticed about it and that we need to talk about. The first one is right here, basically under the B string. It's really hard to see, but if you look very closely, you can see there is a crack that goes from the outer ring of the rosette all the way back to the bridge. Another detail I noticed is that one of these string pins is original and 5 of them are replaced. So this one abalone bridge pin is original, and then these 5 have been swapped. It looks like there is the tiniest bit of a crack coming out of the 2 pieces of the top. Maybe not a crack, but there's some level of finish deformation. There's just a tiny little bit of striation that's happening in that joint. This guitar is due for a neck reset, and this saddle is particularly low. And it looks like there could be, very faintly, a crack that could be forming in the ebony bridge here. And moving down here on the 9th fret, this inlay looks very different than the others. Coming down to the 9th fret, to this hexagon marker, there's a noticeable gap on the treble side where there is some kind of fill that normally would go around that piece that must have worn away or just never been there. But there's clearly a gap in which the inlay and the wood do not meet up very snugly. On the 7th fret, there's similar missing gaps. Now turning our attention back around to the back of the guitar. There really isn't much to be said about the back of the guitar. There's very minimal play wear. There's just small little marks in here. There are just some small little marks in here that look like what typically these guitars look like if they sit in the case for an extended period of time. There is one mar up here on the treble side on the neck, up high. And it's interesting because it doesn't seem to be from play wear. This probably, that's about the height that if this guitar was sitting on a guitar stand, this is where the support would have sat. The back of the neck really also seems to be very clear of capo wear or harder play wear. There are occasional little dings and dents. These also, they line up with that one little mar in the finish. There's just a couple little dings here. There's a mar, and then there's also a couple little dings in the finish. I would assume that that would come from sitting in a guitar stand for a long period of time. Now this brings us to the Grover tuners on the back of the neck here. This is 1970, so by this time, Martin had fixed their rounded headstocks. So now this is a good, crispy, square-shouldered headstock. And in similar fashion, early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, these are patent number Grovers, which are really desirable, very good tuners. Now, they are gold-plated, and almost all of the gold plating has worn off of most of the tuning machine heads. That doesn't bother me, but it is, for some people, they want bright, shiny gold. But these tuners are just, original is better than replaced, and the originals are tarnished and are lacking a lot of that gold. Still very cool. I love seeing the patent numbers on the back, and I'm also a big fan of this volute. Because of this volute, and because of just the general construction of a Martin-style headstock, it's much stronger than a Gibson, and so we rarely have to look for neck cracks. There's no neck crack here, just a good-looking back of the headstock. And coming to the front of the headstock, very yellowed in the lacquer. You can see the difference in the color of that abalone from the fingerboard into the headstock. But a very beautiful piece of Brazilian rosewood on the overlay on the headstock. More than likely, this pickguard has been swapped. It would have had a beveled edge, and it may have even been under finish. I'll have to check. But regardless, this pickguard does have an issue where it is lifting up. And oh boy, that's ready to come off, that whole pickguard. So more than likely, we will swap and put a new pickguard on this guitar. I don't believe this to be original, but it's lifting up on this corner, and it very easily could hit someone as they're playing, and that point could really do some damage to your knuckles as you're playing. The end pin of the guitar is original. There's nothing too much to comment on. There is some strap wear on the finish back here on the end of the guitar. So there is some finish that's worn off here, it looks like, from the strap. But that's very normal, very minimal. Not a big deal. Would not steer many buyers away. Somewhere in the life of this guitar, it had a strap button added, which is great. Makes the guitar much more usable. It is a flathead screw, so if I was to take this out, I would be very cautious. Flathead screws do have a propensity to jump out, and then when you do, there's a very high likelihood of then marring the sides or the neck of the guitar with that flathead screwdriver. There's the tiniest bit of separation here at the very bottom of the neck heel. It does appear like there could be, just a thousandth, not even a thousandth of an inch, but just the tiniest little hairline separation here. And right in here on the neck heel, there seems like there could be the tiniest amount of a crack forming just around the bottom of that neck heel. Not that concerning, but should be noted. So there are many things on this guitar that are a little out of spec, need to be fixed, that are a little untidy. Overall, there's a deep sigh of relief that there's nothing gaping, nothing crazy. The biggest thing with this, there's probably 3 bigger issues that need to be addressed. The first one is just the action, the string height, the neck reset. That's the biggest one, and I knew that coming into it. This guitar is hard to play up high because it always seems to be a little out of tune. It's not bad, but you can definitely tell that the action is really high. So that's one thing I knew from the beginning, and any Martin pre-1985 is going to need a neck reset. Not a big deal, not a scary thing. The second thing is the pickguard. The pickguard is loose, and it's got a point aimed up, and that thing will stab your hand. A friend of mine years ago had a Taylor 810 with a similar kind of pickguard that was pointed up right at the point, just lifting up. And it would just, his guitar would be bloody when he'd play out because every now and then he would catch his hand. And eventually he finally just changed the pickguard. But to me, if it happens once, I'm out. Overall, it's very clear that this guitar has been really well taken care of. It has been cared for. It's been thought of. It's not been abused. Now, it's been played. There's some dings. There are a couple things. But, even just capo marks. Capos in the 70s and 80s, well, maybe 60s, 70s. They were just more aggressive, and they would leave more marks on the back of the neck. Cool updates on this. My friend Mike, who has become a really trusted and great friend, Mike Quibble, so he's the one that concocted the entire plan and made it all work out, that we were able to give back Raymond's D28, his 67 D28. I'll link the videos up here. When Mike found out that I had this guitar and that I bought it with our investment money, and I was trying to figure out how to get it, Mike, in just deep friendship, said, hey, well, we raised $950 from the GoFundMe to find a guitar that should stay with the original owner. And he said, I'm pretty sure that's you, because Sam intended for you to have this guitar, and so this is the right way. So Mike gave me $950 for this guitar. A whole bunch of other people have bought the buyer's guide since then. So I'm getting to a place where I've almost offset where I really do get to keep this guitar. One of the largest questions that's still out there that I have some more clarity, but not enough yet. The question is, how did this guitar get from Sam to the guy that I bought it from? So the guy that I bought it from, his dad purchased it. And the story goes he bought it from someone in the bluegrass community that was helping a widow liquidate guitars, which that seems to make a ton of sense. That Sam passed away and his spouse didn't know where to sell or how to sell. So that seems to be a fairly straight line on the guitar was sold by Sam's widow, sold to my friend's dad, and then my friend's dad, who was known to buy and sell old bluegrass guitars. And then it wound up in his collection. When he passed away, his son didn't totally know the details or where it came from. It was just another blue Martin case in their closet. And then it came to me. So it's a very good story. And I really look forward to hanging on to this guitar for a long time. I'm very excited to get this guitar totally sorted. Being a Martin from the 1970s, this does have a rosewood bridge plate, not a maple bridge plate. At first, I was really hot on the idea of changing it, swapping it out to a maple one, but Danny has talked me out of that for a bunch of reasons, but the main reasons being that's a really invasive thing to do to a guitar. It probably won't change the tone that much, and there are a lot of dangers to the finish. You have to take the bridge off, and then there's some damage to the finish, and so it's just way more trouble than it's worth. So we're going to leave it with the rosewood bridge plate for now, unless it really sounds spongy and gross, which I don't think it will. Between that and the reset, this guitar will be totally sorted here in probably 4 or 5 weeks. So I'll let you know. So the next video will be when I take this guitar to Danny and we dig into all the things that I've listed here in this video. Are there any things I missed? What things did you notice in the video, or what do you think if you owned this guitar, what would be things that you would look for and that you would want to have just some second opinion on, some attention put to? All right. Thanks for watching this video. I'm Jeremy. I'm the Guitar Hunter. Go fill the world with music and friendship. Find guitars that connect you to people and to place. Man, I'm excited. You will find a deep and meaningful life when you're there. So if you want to support the channel, patreon.com/guitarhunter, become a patron. You can also go to jeremytheguitarhunter.com/shop, and you can buy t-shirts, you can buy coffee, you can buy the buyer's guide. If you need help finding your guitar, fill out the form on the website too, and let's talk. We'll find a time to talk and get together and help you find your perfect forever guitar. See you later.